Welcome to the Secret KeepHers Podcast with your host, Corrine Zootlegger. Join us as we uncover the hidden thoughts, stories, and moments that help bring light to the healing power of truth and examine how silence can affect us mentally, physically, and spiritually. We'll also share profound stories, interviews, and transformative narratives to help release ourselves from the hidden and step into healing towards inner peace, joy, and fulfillment. Now, here's your healing strategist and host, Corrine.
Welcome to the Secret KeepHers Podcast. And today I have a sister duo. I have Brittany Suttner and Andrea Renkas, and they're going to tell you a little bit about themselves.
Hi, so I'm Andrea. I'm sisters, like you said, with Brittany. I'm married. I have two boys. I have a 12-year-old and a 9-year-old, almost 10-year-old, which is crazy to me. It's been a journey. I have a background in fitness and personal training, as well as being an entrepreneur for over 11 years. In the fitness industry, and as well as building communities. And I'm sure we'll get into that as well with talking about Motherhood Alliance too.
And I am Brittany. I am Drea's younger but taller sister. We always have to give that disclaimer because anytime we're next to each other, for some reason people think the taller one's the older one. But we're pretty close in age, and we're the only two siblings in our family, so it's great that we can be so close. I am also married, my husband, Matt, and I have two kiddos. My oldest is a son, and he's 10, and then I have a daughter who is 8.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking your time out today to be guests on the Secret KeepHers. I want to start out with, I know originally the two of you started out in the fitness industry, but then things changed. Can you tell the audience a little bit about like what life looked like in the beginning?
Oh, that's a lot. That's a big question. So basically, I feel like it would have to be our story, right from the beginning. So 12 years ago, I had my first child, Kaden. And as a new mom, I was the only one in my friends group that was pregnant. So I had no friends that were moms. Brittany wasn't married, didn't have kids at the time either yet. So I was kind of on my own. And so when I started off in motherhood, even pregnancy, and then postpartum, I found myself really having to figure things out on my own. I did a lot of Google. I called myself the Google Queen, which, as we all know, may or may not be a good idea, but that's what I had, right? Obviously, I talked to my mom about things, but she's well off. She's well far away from the baby stages, and as much help as she could be. That's all it was. Before I got pregnant, I was in the fitness industry, so I was a group fitness instructor. I did a lot of that. I enjoyed that a lot. And I was good at it too. And so when I had him, I kind of lost a little bit of like, who am I? Where am I going? Kind of thing. Your body changes, hormones are going crazy. There's a lot of things that, they kind of tell you about, but when you're pregnant, you're so focused on the pregnancy and like the baby's room and like taking care of baby and who's baby going to see after birth and all this other stuff. And you're really not focusing in on yourself and really what's happening to yourself and in the future. Right. Sure. And so I feel like a lot of moms can relate to that a lot. And that's something else. That's something that we've, eventually wanted to help moms with as well. But so when I ended up having him, I decided to go back to fitness and try to teach about 3 months after postpartum. And I realized I couldn't even do jumping jacks without feeling like I was going to pee myself. And so at that point, I was like, okay, number one, I feel like I need to get some help here, right? And I need to figure this out for myself because I was teaching postpartum moms all the time. And I had no idea that this was a thing. I had no idea, which was It's insane to me.
Yes.
And so I knew that there were other moms coming in like me who didn't have a clue. So I kind of recruited Brittany. She was for the ride. She had a background in exercise science, and she was also teaching at the Y at the time as well. And we decided to start our own business. And at the time, we called it 360 Fitness. And eventually, it morphed into Fit Moms on the Move. But what I needed was a community, and I needed to figure out, how to not just, give myself self satisfaction as far as like helping people and being good at what I was good at, but also like just really helping fellow moms and building a community around that. And I'll tell you what, it was a blessing for years for us and all the community that became part of that. And I'm just so grateful for the experience, and not just in that, but also in just learning how to build a business and being entrepreneurs. And of course, being a business partner with my sister was super special too. So we were able to do a lot with that. I hope I answered your question, part of
You
it.
absolutely did. You did, because you saw a need because it was your need at first, and you're like, wait a minute, if I'm dealing with this, I know there has to be other women. And then it sounds to me like women raised their hand and were like, yes, and they joined your community. And that's beautiful too, because you're taking your wisdom. And now not only did you share it with other women, but you also shared it with your younger sister.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And
Yeah.
that's beautiful. And speaking of younger sister, Brittany, do you have anything to add to that whole story?
Yeah, like Drea said, when she first brought the idea to me, I didn't have kids at the time, but I wasn't that far out of college. So the idea that I had gone through a 4-year degree in exercise science and I had never learned about how to help a woman restore her core pelvic floor, or that they should have certain movements to either be doing or maybe avoiding after having a baby, like that piqued my interest, because I was like, wait a minute, this is like, 50% of the population is women, and then of women, X percent, which is a pretty high percent, have babies or have a pregnancy. And so this is a huge percentage of people who are not getting the care that they deserve and that they need. And so I was on board. You know, I didn't have kids at the time, but I was also intrigued with the education side. So we decided to get our prenatal and postpartum corrective exercise specialist certifications. We went through additional schooling, and then that's when we decided to start our own business, because nothing like it existed. So, like Graham mentioned, it's been a journey. We've had to morph and change our offerings as our seasons changed. I mean, as I started having kids, those had to change. And then COVID hit, so then we had to pivot again. And then after COVID kind of went away, then we pivoted again because we found ourselves being more drawn to the education side. So it's been a journey of learning business, a journey of helping people, a journey of balancing mom and work. It's been fun.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me more about that segue then into the education aspect, that side of the business.
Sure. So after COVID kind of lifted, so with COVID, we had to take all of our offerings and go online. And so we learned a lot then. We had to do group fitness classes online. We built courses. We learned a whole lot of new talent and skills that we never would have thought we would have had to learn. But then once it started lifting, we really wanted to get back in our local community and do in-person things again, like a lot of people were craving. And what we really discovered was missing in the fitness industry still, and in the medical industry, is education for women before they have their baby. There's so many times that women, after they have a kid, they're like, I wish somebody would have told me this. And so we wanted to help offer that to women. And so the educational class that we put together, it was for women who are currently pregnant, and our goal was to help proactively educate them on things that they can do during pregnancy to help minimize postpartum dysfunction, help them to have a fully laid out postpartum recovery plan. But in addition to that, give them resources that they likely will need at some point down the road. And so this is where our second business was kind of born, is that we decided that we wanted to kind of get to know a lot of other small wellness businesses in our area, put them into just a list, and be able to slide that list across the table to these pregnant women, because at some point they're going to need help for either themselves or their child or children, whether it's lactation or mental health services or pelvic floor PT or maybe homeopathy if they're more naturally minded. just, we knew that they would need support and they don't have any time for research. And so we started to put this list together, and it kind of blended beautifully. We were there serving women through our fitness business, but also able to refer them easily to people outside of our scope of practice.
I love that. And I wanted to go back to like the pre-pregnancy, the desire to educate women, you know, before being pregnant about what this journey looks like. That's also, it's a passion of mine in wanting to help heal any sort of trauma background before being pregnant, because otherwise epigenetically we can
Mm.
pass those things on to our children. But if we work through it and heal it, then we have that opportunity to to not to have it end with us then, and not pass it on. So I just think it's so beautiful that you two ladies were like, okay, what else can we do for this community? Because it can be easy kind of to sit back and build a business and say, well, this is great and it's humming along. But as you went through all your stages, you started to lift others up and take them along with you on this journey. And Andrea, do you have anything else to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, as you're saying that, it's absolutely true that, like I mentioned before too, we really wanted to focus in on helping moms, before and during their pregnancy, so that they could be prepared for that postpartum period for themselves, not just for
Mhm.
baby or whatever, but for themselves. And yeah, it's super important. And I think as we kind of grew along in our motherhood journeys, from our kids being babies to toddlers to now preteens, we've learned along the way too what's important to us, why, who we want to see for providers or whatever. And that's kind of where we were really focused in on, more the holistic side of things, learning what root cause it is that we're having, gut health issues or whatever it is, mental health issues, trying to really get to the root cause of that healing process too. So it's kind of, and that's where we were really wanted to focus in on. And that's where we started that list in our Prepare for Postpartum class. And then obviously the Motherhood Alliance has grown so much more into what we've envisioned and beyond. So we're really hoping to help a lot more women connect with these kinds of businesses, these health and wellness, holistically minded businesses. And it's been just a beautiful thing too. So
I know I know it's called Motherhood Alliance, but
mm-hmm.
do you have dads that get involved?
Yeah, so it's really so when it started off, Motherhood Alliance, because of Prepared for Postpartum, right? So a lot of our businesses in there were more focused in on the pregnancy and immediate postpartum period, the first 2 years of postpartum. But it's really grown since then. And that's kind of where we were like, why it needs to be more than just that. And so, yes, we really try to market it, not just for moms, but for families. So whether that's dads or grandparents or anybody really who's looking for more holistically minded, integrative health kinds of offerings and services, that's what we want to help people with.
So at the Secret Keepers, we like to talk about how things affected us. Was it spiritually? Was it mentally? Was it emotionally? Was it physically? And so when you ladies were looking to start this and pivot your businesses, which area would you say you were affected the most and really drove you to move this?
I feel like my initial response is purpose, like just wanting to make a difference
Sure.
and uplift others. And to be honest, our transition from going from personal training into this new business was very organic. And if you would have told us when we were full out personal training that we would be running a business that really uplifts other small businesses and helps health-minded families connect with those small businesses, we would have told you you're crazy, because we don't have business degrees and we're fitness people. But the list grew because we wanted to help those moms that were in our class. And then eventually the list was so big it wasn't user friendly anymore. So how do we make it user friendly? Well, we put it into a website where families can now more easily use it. Well, also at the same time, we're interviewing and talking to every single one of these small businesses that we meet, and we hear their story. And there's so many of them are just so heart touching, because a lot of small wellness businesses started from a pain point that that person had to go through themselves. And so now you're hearing the stories, and my heart would always be like, gosh, I just want to see you make it. Like, you don't have a $50,000 marketing budget as a small business, but like people need to know you exist because you're good at what you do and you can help others and your heart is pure. And so it was really organic in just how we were shifting and just following kind of where we felt like we could help and serve.
Mhm.
I love that. I love it because it wasn't like self-focused. It was how can we help other people? And it's in that collaboration process that you grow exponentially, not just in the realm of business, but as a human. You grow so much more when you can look at another business and think, gosh, how can I help you? And your story really matters. And I love that. That's such an awesome thing. And can you just tell our audience a little bit about what Motherhood Alliance looks like now today?
Yeah, so now we have, so when you go to motherhoodalliance.com, you'll see that we have an online directory. So we have over 120 businesses that are part of our membership group, that have a variety. So you're looking at like holistic health providers, you're looking at, childcare, resources, therapists, wellness practitioners, functional medicine, all sorts, doulas, midwives, all sorts of different modalities that are really servicing not just moms and kids, but whole families. So you can keyword search for different types of things, whether that's, back pain or whatever it is. We also have a blog on there where our members contribute, so they're able to express their expert advice to people who visit the website. We have a podcast as well, which you were on, which was wonderful. It's called Motherhood Alliance, so you can find that on any one of the platforms as well. And that's been great. That's been super. Again, it's just been one of those things where we have this podcast and we are talking to the experts in our community, and it's just amazing because we already knew that they were good at what they do, but when they talk out and they can share information, not just answering our questions, but really just sharing information to the rest of our community, it's just amazing. We are so blessed to be having these kinds of experts and professionals in our corner, and we're just super lucky that we can share them with the world, and I just love that. We also have, different coupons and events and lots of things on the horizon too that we're working on as well. But yeah, it's just a great thing. And we also do community events too. So one of our big things is a trunk or treat, and it's not just any trunk or treat. So a lot of us, especially in Wisconsin, have heard of trunk or treats, go to like the local church and they might have something going on. This is a health and wellness focused trunk or treat. So we have a lot of our businesses that come and be part of it as trunks. And then all of the candy and items there are dye free, they're allergy friendly. We have lots of different activities that are going on. It's super fun. And we've had, I think this last year, we had over 1,500 people that came through. Our first year was over 1,000. It was, wow. It was awesome. It was bananas, but it was awesome. And so that's been a great way to get ourselves out in the community, and just especially for moms and families who really have a hard time with that kind of holiday and dealing with the candy and that sort of thing, but also for people who are just looking for a different approach in trunk or treats or whatever. They know that there's a business like ourselves and all the businesses that we represent in their corner, and we're there for them.
I love that. My husband works for Oh Snap Pickles, little pickles in a pouch.
Oh.
And we hand those out for Halloween, and it's so fun to watch the kids they get really excited about these bags of pickles. They're like, I love pickles. I mean, every child, and so we do have other options for them, but I do see a trend, right? I see this trend in, that because we do have, information at our fingertips, um, all of the information. I feel like moms are more aware, like just
Mm.
because it's there. And so now having all the information, we recognize that all that sugar that causes the meltdowns and all the things we're trying to avoid, and then long term, just not good. And so, holding back on the overconsumption and just not just in candy, but just in general, right? What's healthier for our families?
Mhm.
And you ladies are helping collective focus on that, not just on healing, but also being preemptive on it, which is beautiful. Brittany, do you have anything that you want to add to that?
Well, one thing just based off of what you were just saying that made me think about is, we were in the fitness industry, so obviously we have an interest in health and wellness and staying healthy and raising healthy families. But I think something that's tricky is even for those of us that are more health minded, it is overwhelming because you can never learn everything about wellness. There's always new things coming out. There's always new trends or bandwagons to jump on or try. And so you want to do the best for your family, but you can't be an expert in everything. And so that's where, like Drea said, offering some things like our podcast and our blog for people to consume so that they can feel more educated in their own homes is just so cool. And then everybody on our podcast is local Northeast Wisconsin based. And so if
Mhm.
they have a need for a service, the person that they just listened to and they're based in this area as well, then they can actually work with that person, which is pretty cool. But so Drea kind of covered Motherhood Alliance from the public perspective, but then like I had mentioned, we've heard every business's story that you'll find in our directory. And so we really want to help those businesses thrive and succeed and make a difference because that's where their hearts are at. And so we have a ton of business offerings as well. Businesses can come on the podcast and blog, like we said. We're like a niche chamber, so businesses can come together and network. And that's a great way to make sure that when somebody is referring out, they can refer well. It's just like when we were doing our prenatal class, if somebody was asking us for XYZ professional that was outside of our scope, half the time at the time we'd have to be like, I don't know, good luck with your
Mhm.
research. And that just broke my heart. And so now it's like, no, I actually know a ton of people, so I can refer you well. There's a huge just benefit in networking and collaborating as a wellness professional. And then we also do help with some digital stuff as well. So we want to help these businesses, these small businesses who are kind of feeling like they're down in the weeds and they don't know how to get the word out about what they're doing. We want to help lift them up. Health-minded families are looking for different options, especially since COVID, outside of the mainstream medical system. And so we're really helping to just connect those two groups.
That's so awesome. And did you ladies have to, I know you did some certifications with helping, post birth. But when it came to the business stuff, then did you have to add more credentials to you in order to take on all the things that you've taken on? Like the digital stuff, because that still like hurts my brain.
Oh, I know. I think we really we learned a lot, even just being entrepreneurs in the fitness space, right? And so, I mean, once you learn something as an entrepreneur, starting a business, running a business, you could really apply it to any kind of business, mostly, right? So we haven't taken any extra courses or credentials by, at least not for now. I mean, there's
Yeah.
plenty to learn. I mean, we
Right.
have learned some things, from seminars or whatever, but we do also have some great people in our corner helping us with marketing and that sort of thing, which as a small business owner, don't try doing everything on your own. That's just a public service announcement there. Once you can really get somebody helping with bookkeeping and marketing and anything else, like really try to open up your team member opportunities, because that'll just help you a lot.
Oh, that's such good insight. I
Mhm.
am one that tries to do it all myself, and I'm thinking, this is not my zone of genius. So why am
Exactly. Yep.
I trying to do this?
Yeah,
There's
that's
somebody
you
that
didn't sign
loves
up for
this.
that.
Somebody loves to do this and would love and could take care of it. So our oldest daughter does like social media marketing and managing and all that good business and digital stuff. And And I will periodically ask for some help, and she can whip out in 5 minutes what literally would take me hours. And and I'm like just in awe because I'm like, how did you do that? But right, that is her gift. And mine is I like people.
Right. You signed up for that. She signed up
Mhm.
for her social media stuff. And
Yeah, yeah.
you can't do it all. Like Brittany said, you really can't. So apply that
And
to motherhood, apply that to business. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
will say we learned the hard way in the beginning,
Oh,
Kareen, too, because like when we first started our fitness business, we had the mindset of, well, we don't have any money. So how can we spend money on marketing? Right? And so we really spun our wheels the first couple of years trying to do it all ourselves. And since we were in fitness, we would hold group fitness classes. I mean, I was just praying I'd have more than one person show up because one is embarrassing and two is at least, I don't know, okay. So our first couple of years were definitely, it's hard. It's really hard to work through it. And I think as we got further along in business, we learned to start asking for help. And instead of spinning our wheels and learning the hard way, let's talk to people who spun their wheels and learn the hard way. It can now help us like go a little faster and maybe skip some of the pain points. And then eventually when we did hire a social media, someone to help us with social media. And like Drea said, we have like someone who gives us insight into marketing because like we said, everything is constantly changing. So even if you are taking on a lot of this stuff yourselves, social media is constantly changing. Algorithms are constantly
Yeah.
changing.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, 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 that is so true. It's there is no constant, right, other than change. One of the things I wanted to talk a little bit about is as you have your tweens, so and you also are kind of they were kind of refer to you in your age group as like the sandwich time of life, right? Where you're raising your kids and then you might be caring for older parents. Do you have resources for that kind of on the other end of it? Do you have resources for your community within the Motherhood Alliance?
That's Brittany, can you think of, I mean, I think that there's plenty of like therapists and counselors that could probably help with and actually I can think of a few now, but that can help with that sandwich generation.
Mhm.
Personally, for us, we have parents that are young and healthy, so
Okay.
we won't hopefully
Mhm.
have to, deal with that sort of thing anytime soon. But yes, as far as resources, I mean, like Brittany said, we're here to help businesses as well as families. If there are businesses that are listening to this or that have connections with somebody who helps more with that sandwich generation, we'd love to know about them. We'd love to hear about them. But yeah, there's a couple counselors and people that could help with
Okay.
that.
And I think us, our businesses being in the wellness arena, that's who we work with is wellness-based businesses. And so we do help support people on both ends, where if you're feeling stressed, like as the person, as the caregiver, there are opportunities and businesses in the area that can help you. And so if that's where the pain point is, then reach out to us. That's something we can help with. But however, if your pain point is more so you have a kiddo that maybe has some chronic issues going on, or a parent with some chronic issues going on, there's
Mm.
probably some wellness people that are in our directory that you could search or reach out to us and we can help you. And so being in the sandwich generation can be very complicated because you are raising kids. You are also raising, not raising, but helping your older parents.
Mhm.
So I feel like the mental load can get really heavy for moms. And
Yes.
that's where I wanted to say thank you to Kareen for what you're doing because you're really the niche person here in this arena where you can help those women or those men who are in that sandwich generation manage and juggle all of those balls and stay sane through it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The overwhelm that can happen when you're when we're not when we're trying to take it all on. Um, I heard you say earlier, and I think this is so beautiful, is you asked for help. It's like, in the beginning you tried to do it all yourself, but then you asked for help. You used your voice and said, "Hey, you know what? Like this is kind of crazy. Let's get some help in to do these things." And I think often as women, we may take, especially older generation women, we take that step back and a little more apprehensive to seek that help. Like, oh, geez, I can't do it all myself. I should be able to do all of this myself. So I think it's awesome for you guys to be able to say, no, you know what? Get the help, ask for the help. And that's in all the areas of your life, right? So whether it is physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, you have all those resources available within your Motherhood Alliance. And that was one of the things that drew me to it. It was like, this is so cool. I think I needed this 35 years ago. There was not, trust me, not this sort of resource. So if you're listening today, and you are in would you say the Fox Valley, Northeast Wisconsin? What do you guys consider your whole area?
Yeah, Northeast Wisconsin is where the wellness businesses are based out of. Obviously, you listen to our podcast, just like you, people from all over
Yeah.
can gain insight from it. But yes, all of our wellness businesses are currently Northeast Wisconsin.
Yeah. And there's the Alliance is something that somebody can join if you're a business, correct? Now, help me understand, do the parents have to join the Alliance as well, or is it just the people within the wellness community?
As of now, it's just the businesses who are
Okay.
quote members, but
Okay.
we have been talking about opportunities for parents to be more involved as far as, with our group. So
Okay.
For parents right now, we are a free wellness directory and resource center. So they can just come to our website and utilize it for free without having any sort of membership or login. But like
Yeah.
Drea said, we do have some ideas in the hopper for making a little more opportunity or direction around it. So
I love that. I love that you make it available to everybody. One of the things I really like to ask my guests is what their golden nugget of wisdom is that they've gleaned through this process. So you've been on this journey for 12 years, and obviously there are so many things that you've learned and gained. But if you each were going to tell the audience just one thing that would kind of shorten up their process, if you will, what would that golden nugget be?
I think
wow.
for me,
Mhm.
oh,
No, go
yeah.
ahead.
All right.
I'll
Well,
let you go first.
I think for me, it's be okay with seasons changing. Through both of our, over the last 11, 12 years since we've been doing this, we have had to make some major changes multiple times. I mean, when we started our fitness business, we were very part-time and we were summers only. Then COVID hit. That all basically shut down. It felt like we were starting a whole new business. So that one was kind of forced change in some ways. But then once that kind of passed, we decided looking at ourselves and the ages our kids were at, that we were ready to head more into the education side of things, and that's where we could really make a difference versus like teaching group fitness classes over and over. And then with Motherhood Alliance, like it's hard to close doors, but also if a door is opening, how do you know what lies beyond it unless you walk through? So I think for us, that would be my piece: is be okay with change, be okay with like finding stillness to really figure out what you need and what direction you want to go, and depending on your season of life, things are going to pivot. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of with that, I would, and with what we've been talking about too, one of my golden nuggets would be, don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to look for the support you need. And you apply this to motherhood and you apply this to business, right?
Yeah.
When Britt and I first got started in business, we really did try to do it all ourselves. We did do a lot of research, still Google Queen forever, forever will be too. But even 12 years ago, there wasn't as much information out there as easily accessible as it is now. But yeah, just don't be afraid to try to find the support and ask questions and just keep reaching. And if you're not satisfied with an answer, or if you're not quite sure that what you're getting is right, then keep digging. And again, as mothers too, like keep digging. If there's something that's going on physically, mentally, financially, anything, like keep digging and seeing if there's more answers. And, what you don't know, and you'll make mistakes along the way. But really just keep reaching out and finding the support you need. And just don't stop.
That's so true. And you've made it so that moms can learn in one space and have the information that they need. Um my mom would say to me when our kids were growing up, she would say, "Oh, you're so just a better mom than I ever was." And I was like, "Are you kidding?" I had a great mom. And I was like, "Well, why would you say that?" And she was like, "But you're always reading and learning and, trying to be a better mom." And I believe that's the case in every mother out there. It's just, what do we have available? What resources do we know are out there, and what awareness do we have of them? So thank you, ladies, for so much for creating this resource. It's so valuable. How can they find you?
Yeah, so they can find us at motherhoodalliance.com. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram at Motherhood Alliance for both of those. And then, of course, the podcast, Motherhood Alliance, you can find on Spotify, Apple, anywhere you listen.
Awesome. That's so awesome. Brittany, do you have anything that you want to add?
No, I mean, well, those are the ways to get a hold of us. But honestly, it's those two sisters, who have started things. So if you're a business listening and you want to just have a conversation and see if we could collaborate somehow, reach out to us, hello@motherhoodalliance.com. If you are a public person, a mom listening to this, and you're looking for resources, head to our website. Like, we're just here to help. So any of those methods, you can reach out to us, and we're here.
Well, I love it. So thank you so much, ladies, for taking the time to be guests on the Secret Keepers podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining the Secret Keepers podcast. If you found this episode helpful, please give us a like and follow so we can invite you back. And if you just want more, visit CorrineZuleger.com. Remember, you're not alone.